We're going to continue our journey of the Yoga Sutras. We're on Sutra 118, which, if you are following in the book, is page 35. So I'm going to read 117 first, because they kind of build on each other, like all of them do. The one we did last week said, distinguished contemplation, which is samprajñata samadhi, is accompanied by reasoning, reflecting, rejoicing, and pure I amness. Samprajñata samadhi. So today we're talking about asamprajñata samadhi. A in front of a Sanskrit word means not. So not that one. And what this one says is, by the firmly convinced practice of the complete cessation of the mental modifications, the impressions only remain. This is the other samadhi, asamprajñata. So what he's saying is, first, the firmly convinced practice of the complete cessation of the mental modifications. So when all the vrittis, all the fluctuations, stop from lots and lots of practice, there's just impressions. So what we haven't really touched on much, but he started to talk about a little bit, is this notion of prakriti and purusha. There's a lot more later in the sutras about prakriti and purusha, and the Bhagavad Gita talks a lot about prakriti and purusha. And it's, years of conversation could happen around prakriti and purusha. It sort of gets into metaphysics and a lot of really deep distinguishing of what's real and what's not real. But for today's conversation, we'll identify prakriti as being what is manifest and real. I used to try and explain it by using the word tangible, because part of what prakriti is, like our physical body, is prakriti. And purusha is less tangible. But it also includes thoughts. So our thoughts around ourselves, our self-absorbed thoughts, our thoughts about our relationships to other people, are also prakriti. Purusha is separate from that concern with self. One good explanation that I heard about this, I read about this, is if you think of a circle, this might actually be in the Yoga Sutras. I've read lots of sources, so I can't remember where. But if you think of a circle, and everything inside the circle is tangible I amness, prakriti, purusha is what's outside of the circle. So it's not material versus immaterial, because inside that circle of I amness, I also have all of my own thoughts about what my amness is. And in my practice of meditation, I'm trying to transcend some of my amness, my I amness, my self-centeredness, my singular view of how the world is, and see things from a larger space that's not so self-absorbed. To be able to connect to others without fear or distinguishing or judgment. And that's what I'm working on. I'm not there. And this week I had this really interesting experience. I'm in a new, I'll call it a relationship, which means like I'm relating to another human being. It's not a personal relationship in any special way, but I'm relating to this other person. And I'm finding like a energetic barrier between me and them. And I'm having a hard time relating to them in a way that just feels authentic and safe and real. And I realized as I was meditating one day that I feel judged by this person. So I'm having this experience of feeling defensive every time I'm interacting with them. And it's changing my energy to be constantly trying to prove myself or defend myself to this person who I think is judging me. So I was sitting there and, yeah, that's what's going on here. And then I realized I'm judging that person. And I had this like kind of awakening many years ago where I realized how much I judge other people. And I've been working a lot on being less judgmental and trying to really not put that barrier between me and other people and just, okay, yes, that's what's happening here. And I'm not going to say it's good or bad, but this is what is. And a little bit of that comes from developing more compassion and understanding kind of what people are going through and not necessarily jumping to a conclusion of whether or not they're acting the way I want them to or not and how it affects me, but like, this is what's here, this person's hurting, or this is what's here, this person's suffering in some way. So the reason I bring up this story is when I was studying the sutra, I was like, oh, this is what it's like. We start to practice and we think we're making progress. Like we're able to distinguish our interactions with people in a new way. Like we have a new awareness. Like I can name it judgment, whereas before I was just in it. But just because I can name it doesn't mean I'm free from it. Which is like this, it's just this interesting place to be in where we start to wake up and become aware of things. And then we think maybe we can be free of them just because we're aware of them. But that's not really how it works for me. What happens for me is like, now I've just got this extra awareness. So it's this like extra layer of responsibility in how I am in the world. And what he's talking about in asamprajnata samadhi is we've gotten past that. Well, I'm not there. And, depending on your faith system, your belief system, that might be many lifetimes to get there. In the Hindu belief system, that's how it works. Like you're just in this constant cycle of working towards the full samadhi. I don't know what I believe around that or not. I mean, there's times where I believe like, yeah, it makes sense that there's a soul that transmigrates over time. But even if I'm just in this one body right now, freedom from some of that judgerness is one of the reasons I practice. Because as there's that little moment of awakening where I'm like, oh, there I go again. Like I'm judging this person. No wonder I'm worried that they're judging me because I'm judging them. And then I can kind of smile at myself and be like, okay, stop it. Just maybe look beyond the energy that's bouncing off of us and see what's actually here. Like this is a good human being that's feeling like she needs to prove herself. I've been there. I'm doing it to her right back. So I think our time in meditation helps us to slow down enough to just bring an awareness to our relationships, our situations, and start to distinguish what's real and what's not real. So coming back to the sutra, it says, by the firmly convinced practice of the complete cessation of the mental modifications, the impressions only remain. So the impression of the mental modification might still be there, But the reaction might go away one day. So I don't think this is asamprajnata samadhi when it happens, but what I'd like in my own way of being in the world is that it doesn't take me a week of kind of butting up against somebody to be like, oh, I'm judging this person in order to stop judging this person. I'd like that to happen more quickly, where like I'm in the moment of the interaction and be like, okay, I see this is coming up. How can I right now just let that go and take down my own wall so that that other person isn't experiencing what I'm experiencing from them? Does that make sense? Right, it's just like a speeding up, and he talks about that in here. It's like our awareness gets more efficient. So that's why we practice. I don't know if I'll get liberated in this body, but I'd like to be more free. All right. Any questions or comments or insights before we just practice? Okay. Let's practice. So create your posture, your physical posture, with the aim of just an alertness. So there's not a dullness, there's an awakeness. Create your seat, your physical seat, your feet. Be intentional with what you're doing with your hands. If you like to close your eyes, you can close them. Start to channel your awareness to something that's real. I suggest the breath. This is a great way to get out of the fantasy of thinking or judging or figuring out. Just notice what's right here. Start by noticing your breath, having an awareness of it, and not judging it. So it's not too long or too short or loud or quiet. It just is. Notice if there's any reasoning here, trying to figure out or understand the breath. And that's a natural pathway for our mind, understanding, analyzing. And maybe it's a naming, judgment of my own breath. And then reflecting. Oh, I'm judging. Oh, I'm trying to figure it out. So you step into a kind of observer of yourself. Oh, I'm sleepy. And the next phase is rejoicing. To me, this is that moment where you get a little half smile and you're like, oh, ha 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 ha. Ha. I can see how it is. And I can separate myself from being tangled in that place. And maybe we come into a just thisness, just this, nothing added. Just this. Take a bigger, fuller breath. Do that a second time with your eyes still closed, just coming back into your body. And then when you're ready, you're welcome to open your eyes. I feel like this is a practice of space. And in our do all the things, be efficient world, if I can cut out the noise, there's more space. What if I didn't have to battle the energy of another person and I could just get right to what's here? Or myself. Sometimes we're battling our own inner judgment or whatever the thing is. Whatever the thing is. Judgment's just the example for today. Thoughts? Insights? Paula?
Last night, we went to mass, and the sermon was around forgiveness. And the priest said that there was a parishioner who had been away from the church, and she wanted to come back and become more connected. What should she do? And the priest said, it's simple. You just go to confession, confess your sins, and God will forgive you. And she says, it can't be that simple. And he says, yes, it is. And he said, the reason that we don't believe that God can be forgiven is because we are slow to forgive either other people or ourselves. So when you were talking about the whole judgment thing, about feeling like somebody else is judging you when you are in fact judging the other person, this is what came up for me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Really good. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mary?
I had a completely off the wall thought. I was thinking about the meditation and also the staying with your I amness and not judging others and that all letting things go, and thinking about cruise ships, which by the way, I've never been on, but this is my understanding, is that large ships have these stabilizers so that even if the ocean is doing all this up and down, that you're pretty much going pretty even keel. And that's sort of what I think this practice and meditation does. It's so no matter what sort of is going on, even, but you not only have to stabilize the world around you, but you have to stabilize the stuff inside your head.
100%. Yeah, good metaphor. And sometimes you can't stabilize the world around you. I mean, you can't control the ocean.
No.
So you got to put on your own stabilizers, and you can't control the people around you a lot of the time. I mean, we like to think we can, but we can't. We can encourage it, we can model it, but ultimately everybody has their own, I mean, will, that's a whole conversation, but
it's like making the difference between your reacting versus being able to not react, and being able to have a thought before you respond, rather than just yelling back at somebody.
Anybody else? Robert?
Yeah, I read something somewhere, something about when you choose to interact with somebody, you are choosing to enter their energy. So that's something along the lines we're talking about. Somebody that's maybe too happy or maybe angry. When you choose to go over and engage with that person, you're bringing yourself into their energy.
Yeah, and some of us are more susceptible to other people's energy than others. And it's kind of a weird metaphor, but my teacher talks about spiritual armor, which sounds like I've liked the metaphor in the past, but it's a lot like we're trying to just protect ourselves. And I'm working towards an understanding of it not being like just shutting myself away. And I haven't quite come up with the metaphor, but yeah, like other people's energy are coming at us all the time, and how do we, it's more like a dance with it than I'm not gonna interact. Because I think if we're not adept at how to deal with other people's energy, we just shut down or put up our shields and close off. So I got to figure it out. And I, for me, that means figuring myself out, like recognizing my own stuff. You're like, oh, yeah, this is what it feels like on this end. Yes, we are energy beings bouncing off each other or dancing with each other. Dancing is a lot more fun than sparring. All right. Well, we are out of time. I enjoy this. I hope you do too. I hope you have a wonderful day and week.
Thank you. You too.
Namaste.
Thank you. Bye-bye.